Welcome back to Nighthawk Gaming. We're up to part 3 of our playthrough, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. We'll jump back into the story mode. Now, I think we've done Donatello and Leonardo, so we might go Mikey this time. Jump into that. While this one's loading up, make sure you check out the channel as well for some of the other games that we've played through, including a couple of rounds of this Ninja Turtles game. And if you're not aware, it is part of the PlayStation Plus premium, I think, tier it is. And then I think it's still for a short time. It's still available on the Xbox Game Pass as well, although it is going to be leaving shortly. So if that's your system of choice, then certainly you jump onto that quickly if it hasn't jumped off already. And if you've seen some of the last games, I'm really enjoying this one. It's, as I've mentioned a couple of times in those videos, if you've ever played the old arcade game from back in the 90s, or any of the console spin-offs that went with it, there was Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time were the two that made their way to the SNES and the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, depending on where your gaming is from. This is one of the best things as you play through it too as well. It does have a few throwbacks to the old games, but it's also got some new parts in it there as well that make it infinitely more playable. And there's also the if you want to jump back into those on the newer consoles, there is the Cowabunga collection as well, which is available, I think, on all consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. And you can jump into that and play pretty much most of the late 80s, early 90s games that were available on console, and also the original arcade game as well, which is not a bad little package. And then it's got in there as well quite a number of added features in there, like your art books and some running stuff in there as well, which does make it a bit easier to play, or does give you a few extra options. And then there's some extra stuff in there as well in terms of the way the games are played, or it's not a direct one-for-one comparison. And for most of the games, there's something extra in most of them that makes it a little bit different or a little bit easier to play if you're only used to current gen consoles. Although I will say that the notorious underwater level from the NES Ninja Turtles game, the original one, is still in there, and it is no easier, it must be said. I hate these. I think I said in the last video, they're only the worst enemies to fight against, the little mechanical enemies, and I can't remember what they're called. But any of those that come out, generally it's painful to deal with, especially in some of the levels that have the sort of side-scrolling moving ones where you're on a skateboard or something similar to that. Where you do have to try and get them as you're manoeuvring and trying to dodge a lot of the obstacles that come flying past. You've got to also try and take them out, and they shoot their lasers across a pain in the backside. Give me the foot soldiers any day. And that always happens. You lose a life, and then no sooner have you lost a life than you come across a pizza. Get your health back up. I have to say that's probably the second most annoying enemies in the game are the foot soldiers that have projectile attacks as well. Managed to dodge that one finally. It's a pain in the backside, you only get a couple of hits in. Oh, come on. One more and we should be done. Ah, and there we go. And the one thing you do is, the only problem is switching over characters as well, is you get points, almost level up points sort of things, based on how you're playing throughout the game, and it levels you up with extra special attacks or lives or makes your HP gauge a bit higher. I have to check out the challenges this one too. So, completed without falling into a pit, toss 5 enemies into pits, defeat 5 enemies using traps. So, oh come on! I'm not really getting up here. Oh, this is. You kidding me? That count as one? Well, somehow we've got 4 of the 5 up, so. There we go, knocked him backwards into that pit. Challenge complete. I think I've said it in some of the past videos that we've done on this game as well. Some of those challenges are actually quite difficult in terms of, I think the hardest one is probably don't take any damage throughout the level, and each one of the levels does have a boss at the end. So you've basically got to get through the level unscathed, and then once you've done that, defeat the boss without taking any damage, which, you know, comparatively speaking, with some of the other challenges that are, you know, we looked at that one, we just threw them in the pit there, which you know, you compare that to, or the one we just triggered then was the defeat 3 enemies using traps. So you compare that to not taking a lick of damage through a whole level. But it certainly does give you that replayability as you go back through it as well. So I think at this stage I've finished the game on the Xbox when it came through to Game Pass last year. I've completed the PS4 version when I got the special edition from Limited Run Games on the PS4, and then also this would be the 3rd run through of it. So don't fall in there, we don't want to fall in there. Stay out of the pits, get that last challenge up. I was going to say I finally got a pizza at a time that I actually needed it, as opposed to just after you've lost a life, which is handy because we just got up to the boss fight. I do Rocksteady and Bebop. And this is the challenge: is if you've unlocked some more of your skills, you can use more of the special attacks, especially when you get up to the boss level as well, which can make things somewhat easier. One down. They'd miss him every time. Oh, get out. Thought it was out of his line there. There we go. And got all 3 challenges there too. What do we get for that one? Oh, it was just defeating both of them in the story mode. Alright, so it looks like we have completed another collectible challenge there. Let's jump into that, get the points up. Panic in the Skies. Oh, this is going to be another one where you're on a hoverboard, I suppose you'll call it. What's our challenges for this one? So this is another one. Finish the level unharmed. Defeat 3 enemies using super attacks and don't get hurt more than 2 times by obstacles, which is a lot more difficult than it sounds, because while you're battling away, quite often what will happen is... There you go. So we've, in our first group of enemies, we've come unstuck with the don't get unharmed, or get through the level unharmed, I should say. And this is where you start getting the obstacles as you're fighting. They come through as well, so you got to keep your eye on those. Which thankfully took out one of the old foot soldiers. Now, I think I said in that first level that we played through on this video, it's the flying enemies in these ones which I find a bit of a pain in the backside. And there you go, we've smacked into an obstacle there. The other thing as well, it does give you the heads up that there is something coming, but it also doesn't give you a heck of a lot of time to maneuver around it, especially if you're halfway through an attack. I don't know whether with the getting through the level unharmed, I don't know whether it's a matter of dropping the difficulty level or just becoming very cognizant of the layout of the level and where some of those enemies are going to attack from and that sort of thing. And I guess their attack patterns as well, because you can see they shoot off half a dozen laser attacks as they sort of coming over across at you, but just because of the side-scrolling nature of the game, though, it can be sometimes a little bit difficult to sort of pinpoint the exact spot. So you've got to look at those spots on the ground. Does help to some degree. I think it was there. Oh, 3 enemies using super attacks. It's the only problem though is you don't want to burn through them as you get towards the end of the level. You save them for the boss battle at the end, always makes it a little bit easier. Fairly generous with the old pizza in this one. I think most levels only have 1 or 2. This has given us 3 so far, and 1 right before the old boss battle with Wingnut. So that's what I mean. Like you have to know the attack pattern that he's about to use. Before he does use it, because he has that sort of flying ones in from the side, and then you've got the diagonals now, so and now we're coming from the top of the screen straight up and down. I think it's some of the danger you can get yourself into as well, which I did a little bit there, is you become distracted or from taking out the boss by the general enemies off the side, trying to take them out while you're getting hit, so not a bad way. Not a bad, as I say, not a bad thing just to focus on the boss itself in that particular circumstance. And we've got 2 enemies using traps, 5 fling tosses, and defeat 6 enemies using a power pizza. Now, I think that's a fling toss there when you've got them at the screen. So we're 2 down already. 3 down. 4 down. Oh, what do we unlock there? 16 enemies towards the camera. And that's what I mean when you talk about the challenges that they have within each level. So we've knocked out that first challenge within the first sort of minute of the level itself, whereas the one where you got to go unharmed through the entire level. Did not mean to do that one there. Ah, fell for it. So that's not a bad one, but it does use your special attack as well. The downward dive one that we just unlocked there. There we go, got them all to get that unlocked there. Oh, and the flying ones again, of course. And that's the other thing too. You got to remember, you got a fairly extensive sort of move list that you've got, which completely forgot about when doing these ones. Is you've got the sort of rolling attack. There we go. And of course the pizza just after we die. Which does make taking those black guys out a fair bit easier. I think I said before as well, it's the projectile enemies that are painful. There we go, what do we get for that one? The Coney Island minigame. It's probably one of the easier trophies that you get, I imagine. I'm glad I removed that sort of sliding attack, because it's not just handy for the. And also, I should say, as soon as I say that, they get me. But it does make it a lot easier to zip across the screen. Ooh, Leatherhead. That was Andy. I think the frogs have been rescuing out the back, giving you the chop out with the and there we go, Leatherhead down. Like the disgusting bugs. Now we have been collecting some of those along the journey, so we've got at this point. So we're 5 already. And that will bring us up to level 10. So we might call it there for this episode. If you've enjoyed this one or any of the other videos on the channel, make sure that you like and subscribe to us. It certainly does help the channel out as we're finding our feet in the YouTube space. And jump into the comments, let me know what you think of the game itself, or if you have tried the Cowabunga collection that I did mention earlier. Let me know what your thoughts are on that one as well, and even what your favourite game out of that collection is. But for this video, that one will do us for the episode. And thanks again for watching Nighthawk Gaming.